Hello all, welcome to the second poetry lesson. This is on In Flanders Fields by John McCrae, staying in the theme of war. So please have a pen and your copy to hand, because I'll be asking you to take notes as we go along and recording your interaction with the poem. The learning intentions today are to discuss the historical setting of this poem and identify poetic techniques in the poem. So World War I, or the Great War, ran from 28th of July 1914 to the 11th of November 1918. Approximately 20 million deaths, both civilians and soldiers, on a scale that had never been seen before. It was started after the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary by a Serbian nationalist, Gavrilo Princip. Austria-Hungary Empire, Germany, France, Britain and Russia, and, towards the end, America, were the main players. The fighting largely took place in trenches, long ditches in which the soldiers lived in terrible conditions. Each side would go over the top and would try to attack the opposing trenches, but would be killed with machine guns, bombshells and mustard gas. The terrible conditions led to illness and terrible conditions that came from being in very wet, very dirty, rat-infested conditions with very poor rations. So it was a terrible life. So let's have a look at the author, John McCrae. He was a Canadian poet, soldier, surgeon and artist. He completed a degree in maths and English and studied medicine and became a surgeon in a field hospital during World War I. He died of pneumonia shortly before the end of the war. The poem is set in Belgium, in Flanders. So why did the poppy become so important? Poppies grow on disturbed earth, and in no man's land, the place between the trenches, the bombs created disturbed earth, so poppies bloomed. However, they were not taken as a symbol of death and of the fallen. In World War I, poppies began to grow around the bodies of the fallen soldiers of 19th century wars around the time of Napoleon. So it didn't start then, but it became much more significant in World War I. So after John McCrae wrote this poem, the importance of the poppy as a symbol of sacrifice was noted, and it became the symbol of World War I. You might recognize pictures like this from around Poppy Day, where you'll have celebrities who are remembering the fallen and the dead, not just of World War I, but of all soldiers who die in war. So we're going to listen to the poem now. So while you're listening, write down how it makes you feel, however subtle, what your impression of the poem is, and try and guess what the poet is trying to say. What is the message of the poem?
In Flanders fields, the poppies blow between the crosses row on row that mark our place. And in the sky the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved. And now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you, from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields. In Flanders fields, the poppies blow between the crosses row on row that mark our place. And in the sky the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you, from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields.
So now pause the video and read the poem to yourself aloud or in your mind, maybe more than once, and make notes of the phrases and words that stand out. Now, when you encounter the poem for a second and maybe a third time, have your impressions of the poem changed, reading it to yourself. So now let's look at some of the poetic techniques that we can find in the poem. So rhyme we can see in many places. For instance here, blow and row, sky and fly, a go and glow. And alliteration can be seen in the title of the poem, Flanders Fields, and in saw sunset. So there are some of the poetic techniques in a very simple poem, and the theme is of course conflict, and it is the dead speaking to us to continue the fight. Okay. So for homework, I'd like you to fill out these questions, and when you're finished, submit them to Teams. I'll set up an assignment there. Okay, any questions, get in contact with me, and have a good day.